Okay, so I'll just continue now. So we are those who cannot hear, you can communicate with Satyashaya. He'll explain you how to get your sound going. So we are on chapter 2, text 13, contents of the Gita summarized. Bhagavad-gita chapter 2 is basically a summary of the contents of Bhagavad-gita, and everything is covered. The instructions of Bhagavad-gita, you can say, starts in text 12 of chapter 2. Now we are on 13. I mentioned last time, this is the most quoted verse of Srila Prabhupada. And anyone who wants to memorize verses of Bhagavad Gita, this would be the best verse to start memorizing. This verse of Bhagavad Gita, it speaks about the fact that we are all souls in material bodies. Okay, I'll read the verse. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara prapte dhirak tatra namuhyati. Translation: as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Purport: since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates to another body, and since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation by Arjun on account of death, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones, thereby rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of body account for varieties of enjoyment or suffering, according to one's work in life. So, Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least life in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So, in either case, there was no cause for lamentation. Any man who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and nature, both material and spiritual, is called a dhira, or a more sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. The Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Such cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme cleavable or changeable against the principle of the supreme souls being unchangeable. As confirmed in the Gita, the fragmental portions of the supreme exist eternally, sanatana, and are called kshara. That is, they have a tendency to fall down into the material nature. These fragmental portions are eternally so, and even after liberation, the individual soul remains the same, fragmental. But once liberated, he lives an eternal life in bliss and knowledge with the personality of Godhead. The theory of reflection can be applied to the super soul who is present in each and every individual body and is known as the Paramatma. He is different from the individual living entity. When the sky is reflected in water, the reflections represent both the sun and moon and the stars also. The stars can be compared to the living entities and the sun or the moon to the Supreme Lord. The individual fragmental spirit soul is represented by Arjun, and the Supreme Soul is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. They are not on the same level, as it will be apparent in the beginning of the 4th chapter. If Arjun is on the same level with Krishna and Krishna is not superior to Arjun, then their relationship of instructor and instructed becomes meaningless. If both of them are deluded by the illusory energy, Maya, then there is no need of one being instructor and the other instructed. Such instruction would be useless because in the clutches of Maya, no one can be an authoritative instructor. Under the circumstances, it is admitted that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, superior in position to the living entity Arjun, who is a forgetful soul deluded by Maya. So the verse again, dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. Translation: as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Bhagavad-gita is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada many times as being the elementary study of transcendence. It's you can say the basics, the ABC, the beginning of the teaching of transcendental literature. So it's higher. Then we have Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra, so many higher texts, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yet, what is in Bhagavad Gita today for many people is something quite new or unknown. Right here in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, which is meant to be a basic text, is explaining about the fact that we are not the body. This simple thing that I am a soul, I'm not the body, is completely absent in today's modern civilization. The education system and the outlook and the philosophers and intellectuals, so-called scientists, none of them acknowledge the soul. So then the big question is, because we understand that the soul gives consciousness to the body, and because the soul is there, that I am conscious, I am speaking. My body is growing, my nails are growing, digestion is happening. Because the soul is here. When the soul leaves, nothing will happen. Now, modern scientists, if they reject, they're rejecting the soul. And modern science, none of us studied the soul in school. No, it's not there. It's not in science, it's not in biology, it's not in physics anyway. So if we do not accept the soul, then how is it that we are alive? What is giving us life? It's a big question. So I mentioned this few times. Scientists, they don't accept the soul. They say life comes from a combination of chemicals. Chemicals combine together to form life, and these are chemicals is what made the body. So as is very common, if you go to any ISKCON lecture concerning the soul, they'll repeat this, that sometime in the 60s, scientists were given buckets and told, so you gave a certain number of quantity that, what is the constituents of the body, you gave a list of that, as well as the quantity of what makes the body, the quantity and the each of the items, constituents of the body. So here they are in the bucket. Now make a human body, make life. They cannot. Okay, so this is a simple thing. In a Vedic culture, any villager would know this in previously, maybe now also, that we are not the body, we are the soul. And yet there's a still big question among scientists, philosophers. They don't accept reincarnation and the soul. So how is life coming? How is consciousness coming? We don't understand. So this topic is not known in modern education system. If this is not known, then we have got so much knowledge now. We have knowledge of the depths of the sea. We are seeking knowledge of Mars and the moon and the space, the human body, and so many topics. But let's ask the scientists who know all these topics. Let's ask them that, who are you? What are you? Are you the body? Are you the hand? Are you the chest? Are you the head? Are you the mind? Are you the intelligence? No one knows. So what is the value of so much knowledge, so much civilization, so many cars, aeroplanes, if we don't know who we are? We don't know what happens at death. We don't know how we were born, why we were born. We don't know. What is the value of all this knowledge and university and this knowledge? Okay, now I'm not going to say that it's completely useless. Of course, it's good to know. Any knowledge is good. But if we don't know who we are, isn't that urgent that we have to find out? And if we don't know and we cannot know, so take the opinion of the Vedas. Vedas have never been proved wrong. So, according to Bhagavad-gita, this body is known as a yantra. Yantra means machine. This body is a machine made of material energy. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridesha arjuna tishtati yantra brahmyam sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. The living entities are moving around on machines made of material energy. This is a machine. This is not me. I am a soul in the body and I'm driving it around as one would drive a car or house. So this body is known as a yantra, a machine. It's a machine, basically. Just like a machine. A car is a machine. A motorcycle is a machine. In the kitchen, they have a blender. That's a machine. So this is a machine. Okay, and the machine is not under me. No, it's loaned to me. That's like you lend someone a car and you may say, I want the car back. And he has to give the car back. So this body has been loaned to me. I don't know how long. I don't know. Maybe I can find out if I do my horoscope. So this is not, this machine is under control of material nature. Material nature is under control of Krishna. So I am moving around on this machine. This machine is not as important as the soul. The machine has some importance. There's some importance to the body, but more important is the driver. In the same way that if someone is driving a car, the car is important, no doubt, but more important is the driver. If there's an accident, no one cares about the car. They'll go to the driver. Are you okay? Okay, and also, if the car is parked badly, and I'll go to the driver, can you move the car? I won't go to the car and say, can you move? No, because I understand the driver is the car. So there are people who have no experience of a car. There would be some maybe in jungles, deep in the jungle, or Eskimos, people living away from civilization. So such people, if they hadn't come in contact with this materialistic civilization, if they see a car, they'll be shocked. How is this thing moving? They'll not understand, and they'll think this piece of metal is moving on its own. Just like in the beginning, when settlers went from Europe to America, they built the train to transport gold from California in the west till the east, then to ship it to Europe. So they built a train system, and the local people, what they call Native American Indians, who were there when the Europeans came, they had no experience what a train is. So they used to run away. Whenever they saw a train, they thought this is a big snake that has come, and they'll go far away. They'll really get scared. Okay, why is that? That is because of ignorance. They don't understand what it is. So, and the same people, if they see a car, someone will think this car is simply a piece of metal. How is it moving on its own? They'll not understand. In the same way, people who don't have knowledge, when they see this human body, they think this body is moving on its own and eating and drinking. But this is due to ignorance. We know from Bhagavad-gita in this verse that no, it's saying that there is a soul. There is an active, conscious, living entity inside each body, and the body is a machine. Okay, so the soul is the driving force. The soul is important. We want to know about the soul. We want to know who is the soul. In this creation, there are two types of entities. We can say Divi Vastu. Vastu means substances. There are two. So one is matter, one is spirit. Okay, matter is known as Jada, Jada Vastu, and spirit is Chinmay Vastu. So matter is temporary, it has a beginning and an end, and it's not conscious. Example, this pen is not conscious. It doesn't have life, it's not reacting. Whatever I do, it won't react. So not conscious. Second, temporary. This pen was created. So anything which has a creation has a destruction. Okay, so that is matter. Then there is spirit. Spirit is Chinmay, spiritual. So spiritual substance is conscious. In the spiritual world, everything is made of spirit. That means everything is conscious, fully conscious. The river, the trees, everything has consciousness. You can speak and they can act. Okay. Here in this material world, everything is dull matter, dull matter, dull matter. But spirit is conscious and eternal. Spirit doesn't have any creation or destruction. So this body is matter. It is dull matter. It has a birth and a death. But the soul is a different substance. It's called spirit. It's made of spirit. It is eternal and it is conscious. That is explained in we did a online seminar, 3-day seminar, introduction to Bhagavad-gita. There I introduced a verse which said that the Krishna said that he explained all the 8 material elements in creation: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. And he said that besides this, there's another nature which is superior. So that is the soul. The soul is superior to matter. The soul is not matter. It's superior. It is higher. It is greater. Okay. So we are eternal beings. We are eternal. This is mentioned again and again in the Upanishads, in the Puranas, here in the Bhagavad-gita. We are eternal beings. In one Upanishad it says, Shrinvanto me amritasya putra. Listen to me, O children of the eternal. Aye divyani dhamani tashtuhu. O you who are situated in the eternal spiritual kingdom. That is written in the Veda. That from that we understand that we were once situated in an eternal place and we came here. Okay, so many times it's mentioned that we are eternal, because we are eternal, and this has to be, it's not just known, it should be realized. Okay, we'll come to that later. So what is the soul? The soul is a particle of God, of Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, Mama evangsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashashtani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. The living entity is my eternal fragmental part. Eternally we are part of Krishna. It's not that at some point we'll become Krishna, we'll become God. Some people say that. No, we are part of God, and we are that part that is meant to serve God. Mama eva angsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. So we are a particle of God. We are not God. We are not God. We are particle of God, a part of God, meant to serve God. The part has to serve the whole. Okay. And another thing about the soul is it is a particle of consciousness. The soul is a particle of consciousness. Consciousness in Sanskrit is chetna. In many Indian languages they say chetna. So the soul is conscious. What is consciousness? It's a big question for scientists and all, but Prabhupada answered that very clearly. The consciousness is the sense of I am. I am. I. That I-ness, that me, that is consciousness. Another thing about consciousness is an exhibition of the soul. Consciousness is a symptom of the soul. How do we know whether something is conscious or not? It's, how do we know whether there's a soul in something or not? Whether that is consciousness. Of course, consciousness may not be fully exhibited. Okay. For example, you can have a consciousness. A plant is conscious. A tree is conscious. But if I poke it, it won't react. That's because it's covered. Due to sinful birth, we may have consciousness restricted. But anyway, that is going to be discussed in future verse, more about consciousness. So now, this idea of the soul is a particle of God, and the soul is also a particle of consciousness. Since we are a particle of Krishna, we also have the same attributes as Krishna. The proper way to understand this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was an incarnation of Krishna that appeared 500 years ago, and he introduced this philosophy because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, but he came as a devotee. So he came as a devotee of Krishna, and he taught us how to worship Krishna. So he said, Achintya Bhed Abheda Tattva. That means how we are simultaneously one with Krishna and different from Krishna. Okay, how is that? Okay, and then example is given. I'll give the example that just like in an ocean, an ocean consists of many drops of water. Okay, so each drop of water has the same number of constituent elements as the ocean. That much of salt and whatever different items are in the ocean is also in the drop, but a much smaller quantity. So it's the same in quality, but different in quantity. So in that way, we are same in quality with God, that means spiritual, conscious, and whatever Krishna has, we have in a small quantity. Okay, so therefore, achintya beda abeda tattva. We are the soul is simultaneously one with Krishna in quality, but different in quantity. We can never be God. We are not God. We can never become God. We are always subservient to God, but in quality we are the same. So God is, Krishna is Vibhu. He's known as Vibhu. And we are known as Anu. So Vibhu means great, gigantic. And Anu means infinitesimal, very small, atomic, very small, like atom. So what is the nature of the soul? The soul is same in quality but different in quantity. So I gave example of the ocean. Another example is the gold mine. In a gold mine, there's a lot of different gold pieces. So if you take out a gold piece on the gold mine and you look at that gold and you analyze it, you can understand that all the gold in the mine has the same properties, but on a smaller scale. So example, Krishna, when we, if one thing that is mentioned again by Srila Prabhupada repeatedly, is that if somebody analyzes themselves and sees their consciousness, they can understand, you can somehow understand Krishna's consciousness, because Krishna, his whatever we are is all coming from Krishna. Everything we are is coming from Krishna. Okay, so Krishna is basically, we are derived from Krishna, and he has so many qualities and desires and transcendental spiritual desires, and we also have similar. So why, how is it that we are like this? Because we are from Krishna and he is like that. That's why. So I mentioned that just like a small particle of gold has same quality as the gold in the mine, and the particle of the drop of water from the ocean has the same properties as the ocean. Similarly, the infinitesimal small soul has same quality as Krishna, but on a smaller scale. The difference is that we are so small that we can easily be covered by Maya. We can enter into Maya. But Krishna cannot enter into Maya. Rather, Krishna, Maya is under Krishna. He is controlling Maya completely. Okay, so an example given for this is, if there's a fire burning, sometimes a fire is burning and there's a crackle, and then some sparks come out of the fire. And as soon as those sparks come out of the fire, they go off. They don't light anymore. So similarly, the soul is with Krishna, serving Krishna, but if he comes out away from Krishna, then he falls in Maya. But Krishna can never fall in Maya. That we should understand, because Maya is under Krishna, so it's not possible. Okay, so we are so small that we are prone to be fall in Maya, but Krishna is not. So this is the difference between the soul and super soul. Now I'm going to give some example to explain again how soul is residing in the body. One example is that you have something called serviced apartments. So in the serviced apartment, someone stays in the apartment and everything is taken care of. Cleaning, garbage collection, electricity, water, security, everything. And we are just living there. Normally what happens, a company pays. A company is paying, so we're staying. But we don't know how it works. So similarly, we are staying in this body. We don't know how the body is working, because even the body is being run by Krishna. Everything. We are just here, and we make proposal that I want to move, I want to do this, and then the super soul has to agree or not. Okay, because we are under Krishna. He's given us this body because we desire to enjoy separate from him. We are meant to be serving him in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha, but we desire to enjoy here. So he gave us this material body for material world to live here. So it's loaned to us. Anytime we have to leave, if we are told to leave, then we'll have to leave. That's the we cannot do anything about that. So in a service department, everything is being done. So just like that, our body, everything is being done. And everyone has a different apartment. So according to how much they can pay and what they like. So similarly, we all have different bodies. You see everyone's body is different. Why? Because our activities in the past life were different. That's one. Second, we had certain desires. So they manifested in the form of this body in a certain type of ear, eye, nose, brain, and family, religion, tastes, character. Everything is from the past. So we all have different bodies because of different activities we did in the past. What does that tell us? That tells us that whatever we are doing in this life is determining the future. So be careful. We have to be careful. So that's one analogy, the apartment. Another analogy is the car. So we are all different, driving different cars because everyone has different tastes and different money, which car to buy. So the car, supposing we crash the car, so what do? We fix it. Similarly, if something happens to this body, what happens? I get it fixed. I go to the doctor. There's a problem. Supposing someone is driving a car and he crashes or something goes wrong and it's too old and he just cannot use that car anymore. So what does he do? Gets a new car. And what will that depend on? It will depend on how much money he has and what he wants, prefers. So in the same way, when this body becomes unusable, and as long as we are not liberated, we didn't surrender to Krishna, then again, we'll have to take birth. And then the body we take will depend on our activities during our life and our desires. What do you desire? Do you desire to enjoy this world? So we'll come back. Do you desire to eat meat? So we may get a body of a lion or a tiger. There are 84 lakh species. Do we desire to be a deep sea diver? Then we may become a fish or an otter or a seal. So whatever we desire, we'll get. Okay, do you desire to serve Krishna? Then you'll not come here. You'll get a spiritual body in the spiritual world. So now we're talking about the soul. And this verse is saying, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Okay, what is the verse saying? That as the soul, now we establish that we are a soul, we are not the body. Soul is residing the body. Now externally, my body will change. My body is changing. Boyhood to youth to old age. I was once a small boy, then a youth, then old age. The soul is the same. Soul is maintaining, but the body is changing. I cannot say that this body is the same body I had when I was 1 year old. When I was 1 year old, it was 1 foot. Maybe that much. So now we'll look at this body. What happened to that body? It's gone. I got a new body. Okay, I got a new body. So this verse is saying, just as, okay, we'll go deep into this point about new body. So I'm saying we get a new body. Someone might be surprised. I'll say, no, this is the same body. But according to Srimad, and actually, we understand that, for example, if someone looks at the water is flowing, we cannot say at any time, this is the water of the river. It's not. The water has flowed, and new water is coming. So you cannot say that this water I'm looking at now, this is the water that's meant to be in the river. No, it's already gone. It will enter the sea. So at any given time, the water is always changing. Okay. Another example, a candle. You see it flickers. It's always flickering. When fire burns candle. So actually what's happening is every second the flame is changing. We're getting another flame, another flame, another flame, and some are shorter, some are bigger. So we cannot say that that flame, this is the flame of the candle. No, it's always changing. Similarly, this body that I'm occupying now, it is not permanent. It is changing every second. I may not see it. I may not be able to see this change in the body, but there's a constant change in the body. So just like if someone's watching a video is nothing but many pictures coming at once. Before they had those reels, they'll put a projector in a big reel. I don't know how many of you saw that. I saw it when I was young. So that the whole idea there is that there are many small pictures, and when they go fast, it forms a image. Okay, so similarly, a video is nothing but so many pictures. So now the bodies we occupy, they're changing every second they're changing, because body is a manifestation of the mind, and the mind is changing, but we cannot see it change. The change we'll see after 10 or 20 years. Then you look at someone and say, oh, you've grown, oh, you look different, or I may not even recognize the person, I may not recognize him, but he's the same person, and he has to remind me and say, oh, we were together, you remember we were in Bangalore, then I remember, yes, I remember that incident, I remember the person. Then I'll connect the person with the body. Oh, this is your body now. Okay, now I know you. I'll make a note. So in this way, the body is always changing. This is the meaning of this verse. This verse now, that is, now even modern science says that every 7 years, every single cell in the body has changed. Okay, that is modern science. So this is what this verse is saying, that the soul in the body is constant, but the body keeps changing from boyhood to youth to old age. It's changing. So as the body keeps changing, the soul is the same. It keeps going, passing through one body and another. Okay, just like it was in 1-year-old body, then in the 20-year-old body, 50-year-old, 60, 80-year-old body. So the soul keeps transitioning into different bodies. Okay, so this verse is saying that just like the soul passes into so many bodies in one life, so when at death the soul enters another body, a sober person is not bewildered. Okay, this is the proof for reincarnation. Many people may ask you, can you prove reincarnation? Why is there reincarnation? Then you can explain them. Reincarnation means taking another body after death. But anyway, that happened. I mean, in this life, we took so many bodies. You can ask him, where's your where's your 6-month-old body? Don't tell me it's the same body. That was very small. That was a small body, small eye, small hand. Now your hand is different. You're completely different. So where is that body? It's destroyed. So in that, when something is destroyed, the body is destroyed, but he got another body, and it's destroyed, and he got another body. So finally at death, body destroyed again, and you take another body. So a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. In the Sanskrit it says, Dhiras tatra na muhyati. Dhira. Dhira means, you can say, sober. Sober means that this person has perfect knowledge. Prabhupada writes in the purport, any man who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and nature, both material and spiritual, is called a dhira, or a most sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. Okay, so he has perfect knowledge of spiritual and material, and also the soul and super soul. He's in full knowledge of the situation of this material and spiritual world and our bondage and everything. So such a person is not bewildered. He's not shocked. Oh, what happened there? He's died. He's taken another body. He knows he's properly. So that is called dhira. Some people get shocked. They don't believe it. They don't believe that someone can, but this is just basic knowledge of Bhagavad-gita. This is not a high science. This is basic knowledge. It's supposed to be. But even this basic knowledge is lacking because people turned away from the Vedas. They want to, you see, we don't disagree with science. Science has its limitations. Science is limited by sense perception because it's based on what we can see and hear and touch, you know, so and taste. So that's science, chemistry, biology, physics. But beyond that, there's some forces which we cannot see, cannot experiment. You know, what happens after death? No scientist can say because it's something beyond the senses. What happened before birth? Where did was the person existing before birth? Again, science cannot say. So in that case, we have to accept some higher system of knowledge. So they have to accept the Vedas. Otherwise, how will we know? We'll never know. We have to accept the Vedas. And they're accurate. If you can say, no, the Vedas are wrong. Okay, don't accept. But they're not wrong. They've never been proved wrong. So you can ask the scientist, do you know? No, I don't know. So I know, so take my knowledge. Why don't you take it? What's the problem? Why aren't you accepting? So a person who has acquired knowledge, he becomes sober, dhira. He's not bewildered because he sees things properly for what they are. He has proper vision because of proper intelligence. So after death, one gets another body. And unless you become purified, we have to take birth again. Purification means purifying the mind and desires to desiring service to Krishna and desiring to serve God. And because if we don't do that, then we have to serve. We're going to serve Maya. That means we'll serve this body, and the senses are all demanding. All my senses are demanding, and I'm going to serve my senses. I'm going to serve my mind and my material desires. So whatever we desire, that's what we will get. So we have to learn to desire Krishna. How do we do that? If we hear Bhagavad-gita, then we hear that this makes sense. So we may desire to take up a devotion. And the devotion begins with chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We chant it on beads. Many of you have seen ISKCON devotees with the mala. So we chant Hare Krishna, and that helps us to come on the spiritual platform and to change our desires to serve Krishna. Because inside our desire is to serve Krishna, but we cannot see it right now because it's covered by Maya and covered by so many lifetimes of material activities. So, but if we chant Hare Krishna, if we hear Bhagavad-gita and we hear constantly, then we begin to awaken our desire to serve Krishna, because that's the original nature. So this knowledge I'm speaking about of the soul and the body, no one is teaching it. Therefore, Prabhupada called this civilization a misguided civilization. It's directed towards sense gratification. It's directed towards the body, not the soul. So this civilization is simply keeping the body comfortable. Fast car, automatic smartphones, metro, air condition, malls, good roads, advancement is the body. We are not the body. We are not the body. So what are we advancing to? What are we advancing to? We are ignoring soul. We are the soul. And soul is happy. You can't be happy because soul is spiritual and has to have spiritual nourishment. Every day we are eating food. So the food is nourishing the body. Who is nourishing the soul? Who's chanting Hare Krishna? Who is doing puja? Who is who is sitting in kirtan, in bhajan of Hare Krishna? So no one is. And then they're not happy. They may laugh at us because we are doing it. But anyway, they're going to chant. What will they chant? They'll chant some film song, or they'll worship a sports star. They'll do that. It's not a question of whether we'll do, but who do you want to do? Do you want to serve Maya or Krishna? That's the question. So this modern civilization is misguided, taking care of the not take care of this soul. The soul is who we should take care of. The soul is what we need to take care of. But that is not being done. So what is the result? The result is people are so disturbed. There's crime, war, terrorism, depression, stress. And this gets worse as people move away from religion. As people move away from God, these things will get worse. People are not spiritually fulfilled. They're empty inside. They're lacking. So it's like a disturbed condition. They cannot be peaceful. There'll be so many problems. And so, to be peaceful, we have to learn about the soul, we have to realize that there is a soul. And then we have to nourish the soul, not just the body. And that nourishment will come when we read Bhagavad Gita to understand. First of all, by reading Bhagavad Gita, we get knowledge. And this is such a knowledge that by hearing it, we become satiated. Satiated is a word which means that someone is hankering after something. But they don't know what they're hankering for. We're just disturbed. We are trying to be happy in different ways. But finally, we read Bhagavad Gita and we become will make us peaceful. But not just the knowledge, but if we follow the practice, that will also make us much more happy. So we want everyone to realize there the soul and nourish the soul by spiritual activities, chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita, and performing devotional service. Okay, this is actually the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so anyone has any questions? There's 10 minutes. If anyone wants, you can ask me either on the chat or on the voice. Let's see, anyone on chat? Nothing there. All right. So looks like no question. And meanwhile, I just want to mention one thing. Last time I mentioned that we are holding I don't know what to call it. It's something like a campaign to promote reading of Bhagavad Gita. So this temple where I am situated, okay, someone here is saying audio problems. Anyone had? Well, that might be connection problem. Okay, that's yeah. If someone had a problem with audio, it looks like it's raining. The weather is not good, so that would be the reason. If it happens next time, we can change the medium to Google Meet. Okay, so I was saying that we are going to have a campaign to promote reading of Bhagavad Gita. We want to call it Read the Gita Campaign, and that is from this month of September, the Ekadashi, which is not coming, but next Ekadashi, until the second Ekadashi of December. Some of you may not know what Ekadashi anyway. Let me just tell you that it's 3-month period. We are telling people to sign up, and simply the idea is collectively we want to finish reading Bhagavad Gita in 3 months. Okay, now how does that work? I'll give much more details on the group, but the basic idea is this, that Bhagavad Gita has almost something like 800 and something pages. If you read Bhagavad Gita, if you read 8 pages a day, almost 40, if you read 40 pages a day, you will finish it in 1 month. If you read 20 pages a day, you will finish it in 2 months, I think. Yeah. If you read 8 pages of Bhagavad Gita per day, you'll finish it in 3 months. So you just have to read 8 pages a day. Let's say 4 in the morning, 4 in the evening. So the idea is that we read Bhagavad Gita, and the day that the campaign is ending, that is the day that Bhagavad Gita was spoken. That is 25th of December. So on that day, whoever managed to complete the Bhagavad Gita will share some 5 minutes speaking here on Zoom, and your realizations. What did you benefit, and what did you read? So that we're going to have that campaign, Read the Gita campaign. I'm going to send more details. And so think about it, whoever wants to join this, okay, you can start on the group. You can, my email, my contact, you can just send your name. I already got 2 or 3 from last time. So that not just here, but even in our temple, some people are joining this campaign. The idea is that we have to read. Some people say, I'll read more. When you're old, then life is over. Then what is the point of reading Gita? Because it's telling us how to live our life in such a way that we become Krishna conscious. By the time, in a few years, by the time we come to the end of our lives, we should be self-realized. So there's no point reading it when we're old. So for those of you who want to join, just send me your details. This is very important because, as I said, this is the soul. We are neglecting the soul. We can't be happy. So Bhagavad Gita is directed towards spiritual elevation. Okay, and more details about this campaign is that we have some program at the end, the day Bhagavad Gita was spoken, when we are meant to finish reading Bhagavad Gita. And on that day, we'll have some chanting of Bhagavad Gita verses, as well as people will share their realizations. And you will get so much benefit by reading Bhagavad Gita. So we are all together in this. All of you should take part, and you can invite some other people you know. This is important. I'll send you the pamphlets and you can share it around. Okay, so that is it. So, okay, any question anyone has? I think something's there. Yeah, so question is, you talked about constant hankering in material world. Yes, true. Is there hankering in spiritual world? Okay, in Bhagavad Gita, there's a verse, it says, Nahi kashtik kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. Actually, the soul is always hankering. We cannot say we'll stop hankering. We always desire. That is the nature of the soul. But the thing is, what are we desiring? At the present moment, if someone is in material consciousness, they're desiring to satisfy their senses. And that is, first of all, impossible, because senses will never be satisfied. You'll serve them whole life. They'll not. Okay? Serving your own senses, not satisfied. It will not end. Second, it will not give happiness. It's illusion. I'll become happy. But in the spiritual world also there is hankering, to answer your question. And that hankering is to serve Krishna. And just by thinking of serving Krishna, we become happy just by thinking. And when you actually do it, you become happy. That actual happiness we are seeking in this material world is actually, we are searching that satisfaction which we missed when we came from the spiritual world. When we came there we were with Krishna and we were serving him and we were in so much happiness. Now we are missing it. So we are looking for it here, and we are searching in alcohol. We are searching in cars, motorbikes, movies, and illicit relations, So, but that won't come until we connect to Krishna. So to answer your question, yes, hankering is in the spiritual world, but it's in a different way. That hankering is to satisfy Krishna. And when you satisfy him, then he'll become happy. When Krishna is happy, we become happy. So that's the answer to the question. Hankering is there, but in a different way, in a pleasurable way. But here that hankering develops so much, it even becomes to the point of depression, because there's a vacuum and so depressed. So that's spiritual material world hankering. Okay. All right. So any other question? Nothing here on chat. Okay. So again, a little early. Yeah, Jai Krishna. Okay, so we end today here, and we'll cover chapter 2, text 14 next time. I just want to say, so I hope all of you have Bhagavad Gita. Please get Bhagavad Gita, and you can follow as we are reading with this. And even on your own, you can begin to read it. Okay, so make sure you get a copy from ISKCON, any nearest ISKCON temple. If not, we can send it to you. Okay, Hare Krishna, Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा, थैंक यू प्रभु। इसी के वजह से मैं लेट किया था।